All right, y'all. I will be on safari in Kenya and Tanzania in just a few days. And choosing a tour operator can be an overwhelming, stressful process. So, I wanted to, walk through the process of how I chose my operator, communicating with them, where I found them, because there are quite literally hundreds of tour operators that you can go with, and a lot of their websites look very similar. It can just be a lot to manage. So I wanted to create this kind of as a resource for anyone who might want to go on an African safari one day, and make it a little bit easier for you to navigate all of this because it is a lot. So I'm going to show you my exact process of how I found the operators, how I narrowed it down to like our last couple of contenders, and then once we actually finish, I'll do a full review on the safari experience, the lodges we went to, the food, all the like tips and tricks and advice I have for someone who wants to go on their first safari. And yeah, so everything. But this is like an initial how we chose our tour operator, communication, and all of that sort of thing. So starting from the beginning, how I built my list, and I made some notes, so if I'm looking off to the side, that's what it is. How we built our initial search. Initially, there were a couple places that I looked. The first, YouTube. There are so many videos of people who have already gone on safaris, and usually they will tag or at least mention the name of their tour operator. And I would save the name of the tour operator. I would go to the website, bookmark it, and then that's kind of how I chose, depending on what their review of the company was. The other one was there were a few blogs that I looked at. If you search up like either the specific national park that you want to visit, a specific country, and then safari, there will be blogs that pop up that will also give you like a written rundown. And again, they'll usually tag their tour operators. And then the last place is there's actually a website that came in so clutch. It's called safaribookings.com. There are thousands of safaris that you can choose from on this website. And how I narrowed it down is there's a few different things. First, on this website specifically, you can choose either the national parks that you want to go to or the countries/cities that you want to go through, start in, stop in, your dates, and then how many people you want to be on the tour, how many people you're going with. So each company won't go to every country. Some of them specialize in East African tours. Some of them specialize in gorilla trekking tours in Rwanda or Uganda. Some of them specialize, like each of them tends to specialize in like a specific region. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you choose a country, and I'll actually go through it here so I can talk you through exactly how it looks. But when I put in Kenya, I didn't even put a start date. But Kenya Safari for two people, 3,339 tours pop up. Once you search, you can then narrow it down a little bit more. So you can narrow it down by tour length for how much you want the tour to cost from where it starts from, and then comfort level, which is budget. Usually that's, tent traveling. So you have a safari vehicle, but you're not going to be staying at like a lodge or a hotel or anything like that. Usually it's going to be like in the cities, maybe a hostel situation, and out in the bush, you're going to be in the bush in like camping, which is extremely safe, by the way. Lots of people do it. It's one of the options. And then mid-range, luxury, and then like luxury plus, we're talking $1,000+ a night for each of the lodges that you stay at. And then you can also choose whether it's going to be a shared tour or a private tour. We opted for private tour, so me and my friend will be the only two people in this safari vehicle with our guide, and he or she will be taking us to each of the lodges and driving us from place to place. So once you get to this point, it makes it a whole lot easier because you can kind of see the different tours that each company has on offer. When you go to, when you choose one of the tours, it shows you the name of the tour company, as well as like you can click on it and it'll show you their whole list of tours. I like to kind of see the range that they have because oftentimes, or at least for me, they didn't have the exact tour that I was looking for. We needed a specific length and we wanted to go a couple of specific places. One of the places is Zanzibar. If you're not familiar with Zanzibar, I forget what the like nickname for it is, but it's an absolutely beautiful island off the coast of Tanzania. Excuse me. Beautiful island off the coast of Tanzania. And yeah, so we specifically wanted to go there, and I got a good idea of which companies would probably be able to do that, even if they didn't necessarily have it listed on one of their like pre-made tours. And that's the other thing you want to keep in mind is you can message each of these companies, and I did, with specific requests like, hey, I see you go to Kenya and Tanzania. Would it be possible for you to curate a tour that goes to these specific parts of the country, these specific parks, and then ends in Zanzibar? So I will show you the actual message that I sent. I think there's some important information that you want to include in the tour. One is the dates, or at least approximate dates. Second, the number of people going. 3 is your budget level. And part of this is for like just good communication clarity so that you don't have to keep going back and forth. But it also makes it so that they can write you up a quote as quickly as possible. For us, I think we had a few months to plan everything, but especially if you're going during high season for some of these countries, the tours fill up very quickly. So you want to reduce the amount of like back and forth you have to do with the company. So anyway, here's the message that I sent to each of the companies that I found that I was excited about, that I was happy with. I said, hello, a friend and I will be visiting East Africa for the first time in May 2026, and I want to book a tour from Nairobi, Kenya to Zanzibar, Tanzania. We're looking for a combination of adventurous safari travel as well as relaxation on the beaches of Zanzibar. We'd like a 7-day mid-budget tour with wildlife safaris in Kenya and Tanzania before ending our tour in Zanzibar. And ideally, we would like to experience the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust to see the baby elephants during their public feeding hour at the start of our safari. Is this something you can accommodate? If so, can you give us an estimated price for 2 people? Thank you so much. Hope to hear from you soon. Yeah, so I got a few responses from this. One thing I would probably add to this message is the budget because each of them asked me like, okay, this is great. What's your budget? And we can put everything together. Oh, and then a couple of them asked me some follow-up questions, like specifically this tour, which is Josero Tours. I actually really like this company. I would try them again if I was going on another safari. They asked, would you like a quote for the wildlife safari as well as the Zanzibar portion, or just for the wildlife portion of the safari and then you end in Arusha, Tanzania, where you can fly to Zanzibar? I wanted it all covered. And I also mentioned that we can stretch the trip to 8 days so we aren't rushing through anything. I'm really glad we did that. And then also our budget, which I will talk about in another video, the whole cost breakdown for this. We ended up stretching our budget just a little bit further for reasons I will get into. Yeah, so I think that lays a pretty good baseline for what we were looking for. Every company pretty much got the same message, so we can compare like apples to apples rather than this company getting one message, that company getting the other message, whatever. And then when they responded, it was a couple things. One, how quickly did they respond? preferably within 24 hours was what I was looking for. And then were they actually reading through it, or was it like a generic, like, thank you so much for reaching out to Safari Tours at safaritours.com. You know what I mean? Also, some of them were really inflexible on our budget. Some of them just let us know, like, hey, the budget's a little bit tight if you want to go mid-range. This is probably a little more doable. Some of them felt extremely corporate, like it didn't feel like I was talking to a person. I don't know. And yeah, there were some weird red flags with some of them. Like, again, that inflexibility, if we weren't super rigid about anything, specifically when it came to lodging, we're like, okay, we understand it wasn't last minute, but with our time frame, we can't get through everything. We can't see everything. The wildlife trust is something that I personally wanted to see, but that was an optional thing. I made sure to say, like, hey, if we can't do that, that is a-okay. It's fine, but it is preferable. So the speed, their level of professionalism, how quickly, or not how quickly, but how nice they were to talk to. Honestly, I think that's big. Personally, I know everybody is not like that. There are a lot of people who are like, look, as long as I get the information I need, that's whatever. But for me, I need you to be pleasant. I'm not about to be stuck in a safari vehicle with somebody for 7 days with somebody who's like rude. So not a fan of that. And I do think how their customer service interacts with you is probably a big indicator of how their like actual safari guides will be. So that was another thing. Okay. Now, when you finally do choose a company, and they'll each send you like a full itinerary, I wonder actually, maybe I can put one of the itineraries that we didn't end up going with in like a Google Doc that you can look at. Would you guys want that? If you want that, let me know, and I'll drop the Google Doc. Because that could be very informative to know what you're looking at and, how some of the companies put the information together. So you can obviously look at like the Safari bookings reviews, the Google reviews, the TripAdvisor reviews. I know it's kind of for old people, but honestly, TripAdvisor, there are times when TripAdvisor is goated, especially for tour operators specifically. With hotels and resorts and stuff like that, it feels a little outdated. But specifically for tour operators, even ones that are in, I don't know, when I went to Morocco, looking at my tour operator and looking at his reviews there, so helpful. So helpful. I think there are a few things that you should flag. One, look at the most recent reviews, because they're usually filtered by most relevant first, which I don't know how you would filter it by most relevant, and when it seems like the most recent would be the most relevant. But anyway, you'll often see that it'll be like 1 year ago, this person said XYZ. 2 days ago, this person said XYZ. 6 months ago, this person said, it's like, just put it in order. But anyway, filter them so that you see the most recent. You want to look at their worst reviews. You want to look at their mid reviews, and you also want to look at their like highest reviews. So you want to get a full range. If there are recurring problems and they're recent, what's their response? Because some of them will be like, yeah, we know our vehicle broke down on you 3 times, but it's just because of the time of year and that sort of thing. If you don't see those type of reviews on any of the other company websites, it's probably a this company problem. Okay? How are they handling these bad experiences? And also, what kinds of travelers are leaving the reviews? I love when like a solo woman is like, yeah, I took this company and their tour guides made me feel so safe and so comfortable. They never left my side. They make sure that I got, like, love those. I love when I see the photos of the the photos of the person reviewing it and it's another black person. Look, I get we're in Africa, but sometimes we still get less than ideal experiences compared to some other demographics. Just saying. Sorry, I activated Siri somehow. And then yeah, I think the reason that we chose the company that we did is because they were extremely responsive. They handled all of our requests in not just like a timely way, but they were very kind about it. We even made like a mistake, or I made a mistake with like payment. They were very patient. They were like, "It's okay. We'll find the payment. It's all good." They catered to our preferences when it came to the tour and really made sure it fit our budget. And when we made one request for the end of the tour, they let us know ahead of time, like, hey, this is going to be an additional charge if you want to move to this specific accommodation. We want to go to like a higher range resort at the very end of the trip in Zanzibar. And they were very accommodating when it came to that. Extremely communicative when it came to getting our information for the flights from Arusha, Tanzania to Zanzibar. Just the whole way. Their team has been really, really great. And I have a lot of confidence that this is going to be a wonderful tour. So we'll see. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to come back. You guys will also see some videos coming. I have videos scheduled to go out while I'm on the safari. So who knows what our Wi-Fi will look like. And there probably will be Wi-Fi strong enough to like browse the internet. But I highly doubt these upload and download speeds will be all that. So the reviews will probably be coming in a few weeks once we get back from the tour, and you'll also see me recording the videos. So I'm going to pack my tripod and mic and everything. So me and my friend are going to record some videos while we're out in the bush at some of these lodges. So I'm also really excited about that. So if you want to be along for the ride, feel free to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.